This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Will Jewelry and Loan. When you need cash and you need it fast, check out Will Jewelry and Loan. Come on in with your jewelry, firearms, electronics, tools, lawn equipment, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, and even four-wheelers. They will beat any competitor's loan amount, and that's a fact. Will Jewelry and Loan guarantees faster and more cash for your loan than any other company in the area. They have your cash you need fast. Check them out today on their Facebook page or give them a call at 304-768-5101. Stop in and talk with them at 5523 McCorkle Avenue, Southwest, South Charleston, West Virginia. Will Jewelry and Loan, 304-768-5101. All right, guys, welcome to another episode On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Tonight we got co-host Dan Hall with me, and I've got Alex DeBord with Talk About It Outdoors. We've been excited to get Alex on here. We started listening to their podcast down there out of Georgia, and I tell you, they got one of the most exciting introductions to a podcast that I've ever heard.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I've listened to several of their podcasts, and one guy said, it's like you're in a wrestling ring or something, and you're doing an introduction. Alex, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. Glad to be here. Thank y'all for having me on tonight.
I'm glad you could join us.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. So just tell us a little bit about how you all got into the podcast industry and, just talk about it outdoors in general.
First and foremost, thanks for out on a limb inviting me on. This is a pleasure and an honor to be asked to be on here. My partner in crime, Nicholas Wilson, and myself started Talk About It Outdoors in 2019, with the idea of it anyway. And Nick came to me saying he wanted to do a podcast. And I had no idea what a podcast was. I didn't really listen to any outside of Joe Rogan. And later in 2020, Nick made the mention of, let's do a podcast again. And I just didn't have any idea, didn't have any want to do it. And as most that have listened to our show over the last 2 years, we've made mention many times of an accident that I was in that laid me up for a period of time with my hand. And during that time, I got some reflection points and sitting around and thinking. And so the podcast was born in November of 2020. And it's been an uphill climb from there, as y'all can attest to.
Yeah. Wow, man. I didn't know you had an accident like that. I hadn't heard one of those episodes where y'all talk about that.
Yeah, the second episode we ever dropped out was the story. It was called I'm Back, and it was a story after we came back from Illinois when I harvested at the time would have been my probably third or fourth biggest buck, a 140-inch blind eye 9-pointer on public land that I went in, and I was actually using a crossbow. During that time, had a firework injury being stupid and playing with fireworks, and now I can't even light a barbecue grill without getting nervous. So that firework kind of put me laid up for a while, but thank God through his grace and mercy, I was able to come back and get back to bow hunting and in the same tree the year to the day later on the date, I was able to harvest my personal best bow buck, 147-inch buck on that same piece of public. So.
That's awesome. So Alex, I know you got a trip coming up here to Illinois. I'm up here currently. I'm gonna get a chance to do some Illinois buck hunting. Hopefully I can connect with something. What's your game plan? Where you guys gonna be, and where are you going with that?
Well, we'll be in southeastern Illinois where we've normally hunted. We've been there going 5 years strong. We spend a lot of time scouting public land. I've probably got 400 or 500 marks on public land from the Kentucky line all the way up through almost to Indiana. We've spent a lot of time scouting that public ground, and we'll still be hunting on it. But fortunately, we've been able to get on some pieces of private through door knocking and friendship making, and we've built some solid relationships with people. But the only thing I'm doing right now is trying to do a rain dance. If you're in Illinois, you know how dry it is. And if you go in the woods right now, you're blowing everything in a 100-acre block out because it is loud and noisy.
It's these farmers up here, they're harvesting left and right, but I hear them talking. They're like, man, we could really use some rain.
They're getting it tomorrow. It's supposed to 100% chance, so hopefully there'll be some rain come through and knock the rest of the leaves off. I've never seen it this brown in that area in the years we've been going. There's tons of leaves still on the tree, but they're dead, and they'll be blown off. Of course, a big rainstorm comes through and weights them down, but just go in like we always have. I mean, we spend so much time scouting in the off season, studying maps and learning. We're actually taking a guy from Utah that I met through the crossbow forums when I'd hurt my hand. Cody, one of our other partners, went out with him last year on a turkey hunt, and they spent time together, and we invited him to go on his first ever whitetail hunt with us this year. So he's coming to Illinois along with several other of our friends. So just looking to go get in camp and have a great time. Deer be danged. We're ready to go have a fun time in camp.
Yep, absolutely. Now, I know you was talking about knocking on doors. You know, that's kind of a hard thing up here in Illinois. I've noticed a lot of these farmers seem to be pretty tight knit with allowing people to hunt on them and whatnot. So that's pretty big that you guys had that opportunity and was allowed to hunt.
We didn't ask for permission to hunt. That's something that I think people need to understand and stop doing. You pull up to a guy and you ask to hunt his property, he immediately assumes that's all you want from him.
Yep, absolutely.
I've built and founded relationships with people first and foremost, because at the end of the day, what's the hunting really giving them back if a friendship can be built out of it? And I've made friends with people up there and not necessarily wanted just to spend time hunting, but spend time talking to them on the phone or learning something about them. And to me, that's been the biggest gift that I've ever gotten out of the hunting and traveling portion of it. They may not have any property for me to hunt, but maybe they've got an old tractor they want to tell me about, or maybe I can give them a good story to make them laugh that may change their attitude on something. And it blossoms from there.
Yeah. Now, with you guys traveling a lot, doing a lot of different states, what programs do you use? Like, I know I've got the Onyx Hunt and all that. Do you guys utilize any of that?
We do. Hunt Stand is our primary go-to. We tried Onyx and it just didn't work that well for us in the South. I don't know why. It just wasn't cohesive to the style of hunting that we wanted to do. We started running Hunt Stand, and of course on our show we had Brian Murphy on, who's based out of Georgia, and he's with Hunt Stand, and absolutely amazing company. They're just a great group of people to deal with, and that app has single-handedly changed the way that I hunt in other states.
Right. Yeah, I can see it because I use Onyx. You know, I haven't really got a chance to try the Hunt Stand, but you know, I'm gonna look into it now with your mention of it. And
well, I mean, there's so many of them out there, but I think Onyx and Hunt Stand is pretty much primary big ones that people go to.
Hunt Stand just became the #1 downloaded mapping app in the world this year.
No kidding.
Nice. Now, is that just for hunting or is that maps altogether?
I don't know if they have different programs. I mean, it's based primarily around hunting. There's so many different layers, and they just launched their Whitetail Pro plan, and it has, you know, predictability mapping and rut mapping built into it. Not something that we generally utilize, but it has the features built into it, and it's so easy to use. Onyx is cumbersome to me, but it has better access to certain features than Hunt Stand. They're both great apps. It's just the preference, and we already had so many points marked on Hunt Stand before we started using Onyx. We didn't want to go to something else.
I hear you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So going back to you talking about getting excited for camp, what's camp like at Talk About It Outdoors with you guys?
Food. Biggest thing. We start a grocery list in June or July every year, and we will make months and months and months of food talk.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Apparition Scents, an outdoor and sporting goods company based in Dilliner, Pennsylvania. All of their scents developed and hand bottled with strict attention being paid to every detail. Contact them today at 724-998-7646 or check them out at apparitionscents.com. 100% lethal or your money back guaranteed. Get a hold of them today at 724-998-7646. 888-888-7646 or check them out at apparitionsense.com. All right, guys, we're back here on the limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. We got special guest Alex DeBord here with Talk About It Outdoors this evening. We just lost him there. Don't know what happened. We lost him in the cloud.
I disappeared. I went floating away.
Yeah, but we were talking about camp. How's deer camp for Talk About It Outdoors, guys? And you was mentioning food, definitely number one priority.
Cody and I are travelers of all over the country. That's my hunting partner, Cody Watson. He's part of the podcast. He does it with Nick and I. That's my traveling partner, my road dog. He and I spend so much time on the road together. And our first focus every year before we leave is food. 100%. We're worrying about food. We will make a grocery list months in advance. We've been talking about it since January, probably what we were going to take for suppers.
That's funny. Yeah, man, I tell you, that's, deer camp's one of the biggest things about a hunt and about hunting memories. I remember growing up, we hunted in Pocahontas County here in West Virginia, and I started going up there when I was 9 years old to deer camp. And once I got married, it kind of slacked off a little bit, but you know how that is. But I've had some of the best memories that I've had at deer camp, and that was one of the main things that we talked about and we worried about was food. Who was cooking?
Oh yeah,
there was always a camp cook.
Me. That saying, never trust a skinny cook. Well, I can promise you there's been many a mouth fed by this skinny cook right here.
I hear you.
That's, and speaking on that, Michael, that's what, with that property I just purchased, that's what I'm trying to get back into, getting family and friends back together and starting that whole tradition back up, teaching the kids about it. You've got kids, I've got the kids growing up now, they're wanting to hunt. It's just going to be fun. Deer camp's always been a blast. That's been some of the best times I've ever had in my life.
Oh, yeah.
You learn how to be a man in camp. You learn how to, treat people. You learn so many life lessons. You learn how to whittle. You learn how to build fires. You learn how to throw rocks in the creek. You learn how to process a deer. I didn't know what a processor was as far as a deer processor until I was grown. We cut all our own deer up. We never took them anywhere. We always cut them up at camp and brought them home and ground them. And we're so far removed from that anymore in society that it's sad. It really, really is sad.
Yeah. There's, the camaraderie and stuff that comes from, just deer camp, being around family, being around friends. People has gotten away from that, and we can't let the things that's happened over the past couple of years further divide us as a country or as a people when it comes to stuff like that. You know what I mean?
People spend so much time worrying about what the next big buck or what big buck they're going to chase or harvest and take, and they forget all about why they first got into it with grandpa or their uncle or their dad or their best friend. They give up on those morals and values to try to appease a Instagram following or a social media post with a big deer, and they'll do everything they can to get that big buck killed, but I promise you they won't do everything they can to get their kids to church and get them saved or they won't teach them right from wrong, and they try to spin it to where, hunting's the greatest thing to me, but they'll be the first one to bash somebody when they shoot a 6-pointer, and it's the best thing that person ever had.
Absolutely. Some of my biggest trophies are small bucks.
Yeah.
It's the remembering what it took, who you was with.
Oh yeah.
What they helped you do, what they showed you, that's where your trophies come from. It's not these 200 class deer in my eyes. Sure.
When I'm talking about Pocahontas County here in West Virginia, we're talking about driving 4.5 hours from our house, pulling a camper, going up there, staying a whole week. And I remember plenty of times that we went up there, we done all that work and never killed a deer, But by God, we had fun while we was there, and playing cards, sitting out by the fire, going and just doing scouting stuff. We scouted. We had cameras up there. During that time, we actually built tree stands, out of old timber and stuff, because we had construction company back in those days, and we that extra timber and stuff, we was building 2x4 tree stands.
Yeah. Well, and we talk all the time on our show about the deer and what it looks like. And I've been so blessed and fortunate to harvest some amazing animals that I never would have done had I not, had a family that taught me how to hunt. But it's not about that deer. It's about mounting the memory. And we say that a lot, mount the memories. And I can look at every animal that's graces my wall, and I can remember the stories behind it. And that's what we're telling is those stories. We're mounting that memory.
Yeah.
That's it. And
definitely, that's a good way to put it.
So far away from that anymore. And I'm so thankful to finally see people getting back into that.
Yeah. We're actually this season, we're going up to my wife's uncle's cabin, and we're hunting a good friend of ours. He's got 396 some acres. And, my daughter, she's coming of age. I get her out in the woods squirrel hunting. She loves squirrel hunting. She keeps asking, Daddy, can I go deer hunting? And I have failed in that aspect because I've never taught her how to shoot a gun with a scope. She's always, I've taught her open sights, and now it's deer season. I'm like, well, she's really never shot a gun with a scope.
And she's to the age that she's ready to go.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna set her up, and I'm gonna explain it to her a little bit. We're gonna sit in the blind, throw that nice little heater in there, and I'm gonna explain to her how to shoot a gun with a scope, where she needs to aim and everything.
Yeah. What was the first climbing deer stand that either of you ever had? Brand, do you remember?
Summit.
Oh my gosh. Brand wise?
I believe mine was a Summit.
I don't even remember.
I want to say it was a Summit Viper.
First climbing tree stand, and some of the old heads that listen to y'all's show may remember an Amaker climbers.
I say a Summit. That the Summit would be the first climbing tree stand I've ever purchased on my own. I'd have to really think.
Probably go back to a Warren Sweat.
Yeah.
Some of the person that had the bar in the middle that went between your legs you had to climb with. You probably remember seeing some of those around.
Oh yeah. I remember those. I just didn't know I didn't know the name of them.
Sweat. And then I had the Amaker. Me and my dad walked to the back of Pine Log Mountain here in Georgia and got that stand. It was grown into a tree, had to beat it off the tree with a stick. The game warden said, y'all can have it if it's there. It's after season. We went and got it. It'd been there for 3 or 4 years. We found it squirrel hunting. That was the first deer stand I ever had.
That's funny. Yeah, I had plenty of stands that we put in with just your old steps and stuff, and we'd take our steps out and we'd leave them there. And man, them things would grow into the trees like you're saying. I went back to a buddy of mine's property here close to home that I used to hunt, and man, that thing was stuck and up in that tree and grown in. I couldn't get it out. I mean, couldn't even get up in it.
That's funny.
Loggers hate deer hunters for that reason.
Yeah. Michael, you're talking about built stands and stuff. Your brother Tim, he's got a stand. Well, he had a stand. It's ragged now and all that stuff up on the hill above the house. To this day, I still hunt around that area.
Really?
I mean, Tim was very good at patterning deer, and there's some monsters in that area where he put that stand up.
Oh yeah. Well, he took some good deer out of that area. I mean, Alex, we're talking about a place that's 4 miles from our house. And, that's one of the reasons why there were times that we would go to, what is it?
I said, it might be 4 miles from your house. I can throw a stone and hit it from my house.
Oh yeah, no, you can. Yeah. But yeah, there'd be times that we'd be talking about going to Pocahontas County, and he's like, I don't need to go to Pocahontas County and kill big buck. He's like, I can do it right here in our backyard. So
killed some nice ones up there.
It's funny how those old tree stands will teach you where they're at, where the big ones are at, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Well, one of the other things that you wanted to talk about is the KT team with Jason Beard and Kerry Terrell.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about them guys.
So Nick and I were blessed enough to meet through the show, and Cody and Caden, Cody's son, all traveled down to meet these guys. And there was a gentleman that was injured in an incident in the Savannah River. He jumped in head first when he was 19 years old. He was paralyzed.
Oh, wow.
Became a quadriplegic outdoorsman, huge outdoorsman. And Jason was the gentleman's name. And 7-time Grand National Calling Champion Kerry Terrell started taking Jason hunting. And what kind of a friend would it have to be to take a man that's a quadriplegic in a wheelchair out in the woods and do everything for him and just they experienced this amazing bond and friendship that they decided in 2018 to start sharing with others, and they developed the KT team. And
oh, wow.
They named it after KT, Kerry Terrell, and that's what Jason wanted to name it. And they're a non-for-profit located in southeastern Georgia that takes quadriplegic, paraplegic, injured children, sick kids out into the woods and let them experience the outdoors again. And they are the single foremost group that we support at Talk About It Outdoors. We do everything we can to possibly help them and spread awareness about their foundation. And if you haven't already, please go over and check out the ktteam.org. You can also find them on YouTube. Dave Owens from the Pinhoti Project is a big sponsor of theirs, spends a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
You guys know Dave.
Yep.
Kerry, being the turkey caller that he is, has a huge reach in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
And they're an amazing foundation. I appreciate you letting me make mention of them on here.
Yeah, no problem. Mentioning Dave Owens there, he's hooked up with one of our partners, Backwoods Grind Coffee.
Yeah.
They started doing Pinhoti Edition ground coffee for them, and they sell that and market that.
Yep. Dave's a great guy. We've had him on the show several times, spent a lot of time talking turkeys for tomorrow with him. Nicholas is a huge turkey hunter. Cody's a big turkey hunter, traveling the country. And Drew and Dave, they've been very, very good to us. Sleazy, all the guys over there at the Pinhoti team, they're just a great group of guys. Then Courtney, we've had her on. She's an amazing biologist, and they're just awesome people to work with. And you couldn't ask for a better representative of the outdoors, and especially turkey hunting, than Dave Owens.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking on that, I got a good friend in Arizona. He's had a friend his whole life. He went to school with him. He's become quadriplegic, and he's actually got sponsorships from Redhead and what have you. He does a lot with him. Helping him get out in the woods and elk hunts and what have you. So that's awesome to see people step up and give these guys a chance. Just because they got injured in some form or the other doesn't mean they don't love the outdoors just as much as we do. Yeah, sure, they can't get out there as readily as we can, but when you get people that are willing to step up and take them, that's awesome.
What amazed me about the whole situation was the first time I walked in down there, and Jason Beard's sitting there with a smile on his face. And I'm complaining about having to go to work a day, or I'm complaining about waking up, had on a few hours sleep, and he literally cannot do anything for himself, but the man can sit there and talk God and smile. It's pretty inspirational to a guy, and it changes my outlook every year when we go down there and hunt with them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just Kerry and Jason. There's an amazing team, and I don't want to start dropping names because all those guys, I don't want to leave anybody out, but they're an amazing team of people. That entire organization is hands down one of the best gifts that I've ever been blessed to meet.
That's awesome. Well, that'll take us right into one of the things that we do on our podcast. We do a scripture of the day, and our scripture of the day today is Colossians 2:6, and I think Dave has that ready to go.
Yes, sir, Mike. We got it ready to go. Today's verse is out of Colossians chapter 2, verse 6, out of the Passion Translation. And it says, "In the same way you receive Jesus our Lord and Messiah by faith, continue your journey of faith, progressing further into your union with him." And, ever since the Garden of Eden, when Adam committed high treason and fell to sin, the plan of God has been to regain fellowship with the human race he created. It's been the plan ever since the Garden of Eden. And the resurrection of Jesus actually fulfilled that plan. So in the same way we became Christians in faith, we need to walk with him every day by faith, getting closer and closer to him.
All right, guys, we're back here on the limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. During the break, we was talking about all kinds of stuff. We got Alex DeBord here tonight with Talk About It Outdoors, and we've been having a good old time. He's been loosening us up a little bit. They've got some good stuff going on down there in Georgia with Talk About It Outdoors. You guys are doing really well with that. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So Talk About It Outdoors, started as a podcast, and it's expanded greatly now into, well, we like to call it Weekend Productions. Nicholas coined the title that we would have our YouTube channel, Talk About It Outdoors with Weekend Productions. And it's really opened up a lot of doors for us to do more with the video inside. I mean, we're never going to be huge videographers, but we're really trying to grow that, and it's really expanded for us. It's done a lot of things that we never would have dreamed it would do, as far as, well, allowing us to teach people certain things. Nicholas just dropped a video called Cruiser, or it was Cruiser Saddles, but it was Saddles for Big Boys. Nick's 5'11", 250, 260, and people are all the time, well, I can't get in a saddle because I'm too big. Well, no, if you're under 300 pounds, you can get in a saddle. And Nick proved it and showed out how to adapt the saddle to him. And me, I'm 120 pounds less than he is, and so it was a big shift. And a lot of people think you can't hunt in a saddle if you're a bigger guy, and it's just not the case. I've got some buddies that are, well, Rendell Eric from up in Iowa, he's 6'8", 250,
Dang.
and he hunts out of a saddle. So
that's
go try it.
That's the go-to thing right now. People's really trending into that saddle hunting. I had one years ago.
It's not a go-to thing when you fall asleep in your tree stand, because I'm telling you what, if I was in one of them things, my ass would be falling asleep.
You can, and it is very, very comfortable when you do, but you ain't going to sleep long, because you're going to shift left or right, and you're going to jump up like you've been shot out of a cannon, I promise you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I seen you guys posting that, I think it was either a video y'all done or a picture or something when you guys were out there in that thing, and I was like, man, I don't know if I could do that. As many times as I hunted out of a tree stand, and just, you get in there and you get all warm and stuff, and you just start, oh God.
The thing about a saddle is you've got, you're leaned back, you're arched against the tree, your legs are at you can get in angles where your knees are against the tree, and you got a back band. And Cruiser's done an amazing job with the 2-panel and the single panel that they've got, and hats off to them for the innovation they've been able to do. You made mention, Dan, you used a saddle 20 years ago. It was probably a green tree saddle built right up here in Jasper, Georgia, and they were 12 pounds. My saddle weighs less than 3 pounds right now, and I can get in it and go anywhere. I mean, I used it this past weekend in Illinois for the entire hunt, but now let me tell you this, don't go jump in a saddle and go get in a tree, because you're going to have to practice your technique, your shooting, your filming, your hanging setup. There's so many different ways that you can do it. And y'all ever want to talk saddles? If you need anything on saddles, holler at me, because I love talking it. It is something I love doing. But I can promise you, come those all-day sets in the Midwest in a few weeks, I'm going to be in a doggone lock-on hanging there in that Lone Wolf Custom Gear stand, because I'm not sitting in that saddle all day. Running and gunning all day.
Yeah.
All day sitting, I'm going to be in my lock-on.
I hear you. So Dan always calls me, what's he call me there with my hands?
Ricky Bobby.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. little Mr. Dan didn't know what to do with his hands this evening. He's being a little handsy.
Yeah.
Dan's taking the hands-on approach to Out on a Limb and being more active for you, Michael. Give him a break tonight.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what to do with my hands so I can explain it to you.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know.
I love it.
That's crazy. So one of the other things we like to do during our podcast is a salute to service. That's one of the things that we love about the military. We just want to give a salute to service to all of them out there, and in honor or memorialize them for what they've done. And I think Dan has somebody that we're going to honor this evening.
I do. Tonight, we want to thank and honor Ashley McGee. He's currently serving as a sergeant in the United States Army. He's in the Special Forces. He's been deployed 4 times for our great country. He's currently stationed out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and he's served for the last 14 years in the military. that's awesome. He's getting up there to where he can retire. That's a great retirement if you can stay in and continue to do it. So, we just want to thank him for his service and his selfless sacrifice to our great country.
Yes, thank you, sir. We sure appreciate your sacrifice there away from your family and things like that. It's because of you, because we can do the things that we're doing today and stay free. So we thank you, sir, for your service. God bless you.
Amen.
We've had plenty of veterans on this show. Like the last episode we talked to James Ross out there while he was on the Continental Divide Trail in Colorado. Between them three men out there on that trail, it was over 80 some years.
Yeah, I was going to say 70.
86 years of military service right there in one camp.
Old Tim and young Tim.
Yeah. He had two different Tims in there with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we tend to forget in the day and age we live in just what the sacrifices our military men and women stationed on foreign soil have done for us and continue to do for us. So thankful to all of them always.
Yep.
Yes, definitely.
So other than your Illinois hunt coming up, what else you got planned? You got any other big out west hunts or big Georgia hunts coming up?
Well, Georgia, I'm chasing a deer here now in Georgia he's big. He just showed up. Hadn't really got him figured out yet. We'll start on that in the next few weeks after we get back from Illinois. But we'll go to Iowa in December for the shotgun season. Drew a buck tag this year there, so had great success. And we talked about meeting people. I could care less if I ever see another deer. If my dad or my uncle could get on one this year, they're my road dogs, my old school teachers, my mentors, my heroes, my Uncle Wilburn and my dad, Jeff. And that's
Nice.
our yearly trip. We go up every year. If we don't draw a buck tag, we'll party hunt with some guys and knock down some does. We get a doe tag and we'll hunt with them. And this year we were fortunate enough to draw a buck tag. It was our time. So we get to go and actually get with it and try to knock down another giant or a 6-pointer. You never know. Mr. 130 might come into camp with one. You never know. I've been known to tag one like that myself. So I love it.
Like we said earlier, the trophy is what you make of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes you happy.
That's right. And you get to hunt with your dad and your uncle. You kill a wide rack 4 or a basket rack 8. Hey, that's a memory you'll never forget. That's a trophy in its own right.
I tell you, Alex, you were talking about hunting there and, being with family and things like that and how, you're glad to see that that's starting to come back into the picture. One of my best memories with my son is, we were out there hunting and we had this 5-point come in on us and I wasn't going to take it, but, he's there. He's 5-6 years old. I've had him in the woods with me since he was 4, to get him, acclimated to being out there, being quiet, sitting there for long periods of time. And he's 15 now and still loves to hunt. But, we were out there and this 5-point comes in and I wasn't going to take it. And it just creeps on by and he looks over, he's like, Dad, he's like, you're not going to take that buck? And I was like, no, I wasn't going to. And, it got a little bit further past us and I turned around and I was like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take him. So I dropped him right where he stood. And, he just gets so excited, man. He's jumping up and down. He's like, Dad, you got it. You got it. You got it. It's things like that I really cherish. I don't care whether that was a spike, a 10-point, a 5-point, whatever.
Right.
We got to process that deer together later on. He had he's learning. He got the experience of dragging this thing out, gutting it, different things like that. He gutted his first deer that he killed, his first spike. So, and then he gutted a doe. So, those are things he's going to remember forever.
Yeah, you made mention earlier asking about traveling with family. My dad, he told me I'm been notorious in the past for getting on to him and my uncle for shooting deer that they didn't need to shoot. We're in Iowa. We need to look for a big one. We need to look for a big one. We need to look for a big one. I used to be terrible about it. And my uncle shot a 6-pointer, been 3 or 4 years ago. And my dad said something to me that totally changed my outlook on deer hunting in general. We had loaded the deer up and me and my dad were route riding around and it got bad weather, so we weren't hunting. And he said, that may be the last deer me and you ever get to help your uncle load up in the back of the truck. He said, I didn't think about this earlier. He said, but I think about it now. He said, that 6-pointer would mean more to us than any deer we've ever helped him load if it was the last one. So it totally changed my outlook on big deer. You shoot what makes you happy, and you better be glad in that moment that you did it. And don't make excuses. You don't have to make an excuse. Don't say, well, I thought he was bigger. Well, no, you harvested and took that animal's life. Be happy about it. I don't care what it's
absolutely
legal means necessary. Any legal means necessary, do it for yourself. I mean, it's the memory. Like I said, mouth the memory. So
yep. You can't eat them horns. It's great to kill trophy class deer, but you're never going to eat them horns.
They're fun. Don't get me wrong. I love shooting big deer.
Absolutely.
Anybody does. And I will never stop chasing a bigger deer. That's the reason we go to the woods. But don't take it away from somebody else. Don't take that memory away from somebody.
I got this new property, don't think for an instant I'm not going to manage it, and I'm not going to try to get these monster bucks growed up, and I'm going to let a lot of them walk. But push come to shove, I'm going to shoot one. If I haven't shot one in a while, guess what? You walked in at the wrong time, buddy. Sorry, you're not big enough yet, but you're now in the freezer.
That's right. That's right.
Boys, I tell you, I love meat, and if it's brown, it's down.
I spent a lot of time dragging 6-pointers out of the woods, boys. I've got a truckload of them, and people's like, "Oh, you kill all these big deer." Well, I put myself in a position to kill that big deer, but if a smaller one would have walked by, I probably would have been dragging it out instead of this one.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yep. So while you got kicked off there a little bit, Alex, and some crazy things happened with Dan there. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever even think about putting salt in your whiskey glass? I was like, what are you doing?
No, I mean, maybe now Dan's turned me on to something, though. Maybe I like salt with my whiskey. No, it's not good, Dan.
Don't do it.
He said no. He said, no, you don't.
I like beer, but I don't drink whiskey.
I mean, I put my salt in beer all the time. I'm sitting there like, there's a salt shaker next to the beer that I was just drinking salt and beer with. Wonder what it tastes like with this whiskey. Yeah, don't
try it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What are we gonna do with him, Michael?
I don't know. I'll tell you.
It just tastes like salty whiskey.
I tell you, I said, I have put salt in beer, but I've never even thought about putting it in my whiskey.
I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm game to try some stuff,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. Hey, look, next round, I'm going to put some of this in my whiskey.
Some gator drool.
Some of that gator drool, dude.
That might actually be good. That might be good.
Probably would.
Put that on a cracker, dude.
Hey, I got crackers right here. I put that on all kinds of crackers.
That's money, dude.
Yeah. Hey, we was on here one night, and he was showing it in the podcast, putting it on his little cracker, and it dropped down on his computer. 10 minutes later, he was gone. Couldn't come back.
Gator drill done burned it up.
Yeah, it done burned his computer up.
But it's honestly, I'm not gonna lie. That's some of the best hot sauce seasoning I've ever had, and it's just basically a jalapeno base, but the flavor of it, old stale cracker has got something going on.
I want to try that. I like hot sauce, not too hot, but I'd like to try that.
Yeah, I don't like hot sauce that's too hot and it tastes like chemicals to where you can't get a good taste out of it. But if it's got a good flavor, man, I'll put it on everything.
I'll bring it home this weekend, Michael, as long as I can get a hold of you. 2 weekends in a row I've been home. You ain't been available for me.
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, sweetie.
Go and kiss him right up when he gets back in.
I got limited time right now. I got a day and a half.
Y'all don't get your beards in a tangle now, boys. It'll be okay. Y'all be all right.
Yeah. What's your wife say, Dan? Bromance? Is that what it is?
Yes, it's a bromance.
Yeah, I've got one of those. Me and I get accused of that all the time. Me and Cody do. That's my road dog. We talk every day, 3, 4, 5 times a day, but we fight just like an old married couple every time.
While you were gone, me and Dan was talking, and I don't think you know the story, Alex. So I'll go ahead and tell you. But we started Nature's Voice Game Calls 11 years ago, February 10th of last year.
Yep.
This year will be 12 years, and my brother passed away 2 years after we started the business. So we were still in the startup phase of the business. He had made mouth calls. That's what we founded the business on, is making turkey mouth calls. And he'd been making mouth calls since he's 15, 16 years old. And he made them strictly by hand. I seen him make them. I knew what he was doing. I knew how to do it. And after he passed away, I had a couple people make them for us. And so we could continue the business until I figured out how to do it and learned the trade, And it's just, since he's been gone, Dan has been my partner in crime in this whole thing. And, I was thanking him there a little bit ago. I appreciate him sticking by me and during all that. I mean, it's been tough, man. I mean,
oh yeah,
that's the guy that I hunted with. My dad hunted and he took us hunting. We all went to Pocahontas County and to deer camp and stuff, but Dad was more of the provider, the business guy, and the one that went to camp to hang out with everybody and eat. That was one of the things that he loved to do. He loved to eat. But Tim, my brother, he was he's still today one of the best hunters, the best outdoorsman that I have ever met in my life.
Oh yeah.
So, and he taught me everything I know.
And it's funny because my father-in-law was basically Tim's best friend at the time,
Yeah.
So, I married my wife. He introduced me to Tim. That was even before I knew Michael, and
Mm-hmm.
Tim would come out and, I'd call him and be like, hey, you want to go up on the hill? You want to go do some turkey hunting? He'd be right there 90% of the time. His only biggest downfall was if he killed one, he kind of slacked off and like, well, I've got my limit and I'm going to sleep in a little bit. He'd miss out a little bit,
Yeah.
but the man could call. I'll give him that. I've watched him do some amazing things with turkeys, bringing them in.
You're only as good as the team you surround yourself with, and you make mention of y'all's bond there, and it's very tight knit. And had this podcast and everything we've done with Talk About It Outdoors been started with anybody but Nicholas and myself and Cody, it wouldn't have worked. It would have never have been successful. And my partner in crime is with the podcast, Nicholas. He's the guy that holds it together for me. I mean, he's been there out there, and he's the one that started Talk About It Outdoors. Without him, there would be no Talk About It Outdoors. And that's my honest opinion on it. And we've built an amazing team around that. We've added more people. We've got Caleb and Tyler as part of our team now, and we've got Cody Mayo and Mark Tucker and Jason Lewis. They're all a part of our team now, and we continue to build on a foundation it's built on solid ground. And I go back to my road dogs, Cody and Nick. They started this thing, and we've been very blessed. And I'm meeting you guys. I mean, I never would have met you guys any other way. We may have passed or repassed, but I never would have been able to meet you. Me and Michael, we message back and forth all the time on stuff. So it's very cool. It's a very, very cool community of people. And I'm thankful that y'all gifted me the opportunity to come on and talk with you guys tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it opens it up for people to, just to communicate. And, I have pro staffers, like I was telling you with Nature's Voice Game Calls. I have pro staffers all over the country that I've never met before, but some of them are like brothers to me.
Yep.
There was one guy, Tyler Dockery. He's out of Virginia, and he was with us 4 or 5 years before I even met him. And when I met him, it was like we've known each other all our life.
Right. All of us, we all hit it off.
Yeah. I mean, because we look at our pro staff guys and our team members as family, man. I mean, if you got a problem going on in your family, then we're right there with you, thick and thin. I mean, it don't matter, good or bad. You need to share those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's the key thing for us is we never we never wanted to do anything that with our show or promote anything that we didn't believe in. And we never wanted to change or do things that we didn't believe in. And through that, we've been very fortunate to meet amazing people. There's podcasters and there's YouTubers and there's TikTokers, and there's just dudes in the world that people don't know exist other than a podcast. And now we get the opportunity to share those stories. And it's been a blessing that I'll never be able to repay my friends for. And just keep doing what you guys are doing, and y'all will continue to grow. Like I said, it's a hard thing to do sometimes as you're learning. And we learned early on, we're like, what in the world are we doing? We listen back to ourselves. We're like, God, why did I sound like such a dummy? But now it's just, we just sit down and we do it. If we have a bad episode, we have a bad episode. It is no skin off our back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we're learning more and more as we go. This is our 13th episode, and you get a little more loose when time goes on, and get a little more free when you start doing things and sharing different things, and just act natural. And that's one of the things that when we started the podcast, I said, hey, I'm not going to make anybody do something that they don't agree with, or you have to act this way, you have to talk this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going to, stop any of our guests to come on and say whatever they want to say. I mean, they got the freedom to say whatever they want. We're not going to stop them or anything. We want it to be that thing that's open, Yeah.
And stand on your beliefs and stick with it. And it's a baby. It's your baby. You got to grow it and make it better as it goes, because as it does, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And you'll find amazing things in it that you never, y'all gonna wind up down here in Georgia at a bow shoot next year. I mean, we had 150 people at our second annual bow shoot this year. Cruiser was here. We had Whitetail Properties here. Cherokee Feed and Seed was here giving away. We gave away over $5,000 worth of prizes to winners. I mean, it was an amazing opportunity. I mean, and people sent stuff from all over the country. I mean, partners of ours. I mean, they gave us the opportunity to give away stuff. Vortex sent down an entire prize package. SKB Cases sent stuff down, and they're not partners or affiliates. They're just people that we talk to, and we've got relationship with. I mean, Redmond Hunt, the Trophy Rock guys brought stuff, and we had 150 people here at a bow shoot the second year we ever done it. First year publicly we ever done it. Next year it'll be 300 plus. Easily. There's no doubt in my mind.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
And word of mouth, it gets around quick.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we've got a lot of archery people that we've had on the shows. I know you've listened to a couple of our episodes, but we've had Jeremy Jarrett on, and he's there in Alabama, close to, I don't know how close he is to you, but he's just right across the state there. But he's a
little bit central or a little further west than I am, where I've been in Alabama.
That's what I was thinking, a little further west. But yeah, man, I mean, we go on vacation, furthest part of Georgia there every year, St. Simon's Island.
Yeah, been to St. Simon a bunch.
Your guys' gun season just opened last weekend, right?
It opened this weekend.
This weekend.
I'm sorry. What is it? Yeah, this was opening. Last weekend was muzzleloader. Primitive weapons. There was a deer that we just dropped our episode out with those guys, with the guy that killed it'll be the single biggest whitetail ever killed a muzzleloader in our county this past weekend. Lifelong friend of ours. It's going to go somewhere in the 60s gross. And you were talking earlier, Michael, about big deer. We don't have, but everybody looks at Seek One, as what Georgia is. A 100-inch 8-pointer walks by me here. Guess what? Oh, Alex is sending one home. Might miss. I ain't gonna say I'm gonna hit it, but I'm gonna shoot at it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I seen a buddy of mine. He's still stationed down there in the military, and he's hunter. He posted on it. I guess it was this weekend. Yeah, at opening weekend of gun season, he's sitting in a stand. So that's awesome.
What was the sound of that, Dano?
That sounded like a bush.
That was sound of sweet redemption at the end of a long day's hunt.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
You always got to drink one of the deer gods.
Oh, well, I ain't pouring one out. I'm gonna drink it though.
That's exactly right.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, the one you pour out goes right down the gullet.
That's right.
You know, I'll pour one down the gullet for them, and then I'm gonna drink mine.
That's right. That's right.
So before we started this podcast this evening, Alex was talking about how big of a deer hunter he is. He don't hunt turkey, Dan.
Yeah, we gotta fix that.
Can
Come
you
on
believe
up.
that?
I got some property we can put you right on for some turkey.
Been a lot of people tried. There's a story coming out, and I'll share it with you guys when it comes out. And it's the title of it, and I'm working on it right now. But the title of it's called "Why I Hate the Spring," and
Really?
it absolutely is. And it will be a story that it's going to shatter some thoughts on a lot of things. But it's the title is deceiving. I'll say that.
Okay.
So this is coming out on one of your all's next episodes.
No, this will be an article that will be published in Turkey and Turkey Hunting Magazine. It will be published in, there's a Turkey Hunter magazine based here in Georgia that Gary Stover puts out, and I'm working on that story for Gary. I do. People talk about their passions. My passion is writing. I talk a lot, but my passion is 100% writing. I've dreamed of being a writer my entire life. That is people have dreams. My dream is to be a writer in some form or facet. That's what I want to do that's my legacy to leave. So if I can ever do it,
Oh wow.
that's the future for Alex DeBord. People ask about what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I want to be a writer.
Well, we need to get him up here and put him on some turkey and change his reasoning why he hates the spring.
It'll wait till the story comes out before you
Wait to read that story.
wait till the
All
story
right.
comes out, and you'll see the title makes you have to read it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm intrigued right now, and it's like, all right, you're gonna have to give me a rough draft of it.
Nicholas is the biggest turkey hunter I know, my partner on the show, and we absolutely battle. It's deer season right now, and he can't help but slide in a little turkey talk. And when it hits the springtime, we start having Dave and Courtney and all the Pinhoti guys. We started having, and we had Cuz on. Cuz came on and talked turkeys with us, and
Yeah, I listened to that one. I was like, man, they had Cuz Strickland on. What these guys? Gosh.
bless.
But you know, it's funny. We got right now. We have a fall season turkey, so it's like, I can be sitting in the tree stand hunting deer, and I start hearing turkeys ungodly. It's like, all right, game changer. Time to get down.
RP Scritchfield just killed two in Texas in the fall season. He's the one that completed the Flintlock single season Grand Slam with a flintlock.
Oh, sweet.
And
that's awesome.
That story will be coming out after the first year. We've done a show with him, and RP's an amazing guy. He made the turkey knives, the turkey foot spur knife for NWTF that they auctioned off. One of our most amazing supporters and a friend of Talk About It Outdoors, Scritchfield Knives. I mean, they're just him and Ricky Bayham. They're amazing people, and I love them dearly. They're really good friends of ours.
So are you guys planning on going to the NWTF this year?
We will be there. Yep, we've got our booth. We'll be there again. We were there last year. I wasn't. I was actually on a squirrel hunt up in Tennessee and went to it instead of going. But I'm going to the NWTF this year. We will be there, and on Wednesday we'll be set up, have our booth there and set up. So
if you since you've never been, man, you are going to have a blast.
Until I listen to all them turkey calls for 3 or 4 days, and I'm gonna be ready to choke it.
Man, I tell you though, see, that's my thing though. Like I said, me and Tim.
It ain't mine, Mr. 130 don't like no turkey calls. I'm ready to choke them as soon as they start.
Oh God. Yeah, then you probably will go crazy because you definitely don't want to go in the call room when they're doing the contest.
I go. No. See, I went and listened to a calling competition in Georgia this year. Nicholas competed in it, and I've listened to him, and Dave actually won it. We got to stand around and talk to him, but Dave knows how I feel about turkey hunting, and he's on me hard. He's on me considering like, oh, you got to go turkey hunting. I'm like, I'm going turkey hunting. I go turkey hunting. Y'all just don't understand. Just wait till the story comes out. Y'all go.
Okay.
Y'all get a different. it'll be a different view.
Yeah, you'll definitely make sure you send us a link or something when that comes out, because if not, I'm going to forget about it.
Don't worry, it will. I'll make sure.
No, I ain't gonna forget. Now it's stuck in my head. I'm extremely curious now.
Yeah.
I want to read this.
That's why it's titled that.
I could put up my gun and my bow for deer season to continue turkey hunting.
Dan, you froze
I've
up
been
again.
a deer hunter.
Dan, you froze up again there. I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point now. It's like, man, turkey hunting it's where it's at. It's so much different, you know.
Well,
Like I said, wait till the story comes out.
You know, I really hate to say this, but I have loved turkey hunting and I have loved deer hunting, but I would have to say that I like trout fishing better.
I could go with that.
Oh, here we go.
He said, "Here we go."
That's funny.
Oh Lord.
Well, trout fishing and turkey hunting go hand in hand, though. You get out of the woods at 12:30, you know.
They do.
After legal hours, and then you go in the trout stream.
Yep, definitely. I know why Alex don't like turkey hunting. He don't like being out in all that rain.
There ain't, it ain't, I can't talk too much. I'm going to tell too much of the story.
Yeah, you better quit, Michael. We're prying too hard.
I know.
I'll tell too much of the story. It's going to be a good one, though. Y'all, turkey hunters will, they'll be intrigued. I'll say that much.
Awesome. I can't wait.
I mean, because everybody that I've talked to that turkey hunt, man, they're like, they get addicted to it. And they're like, I love the adrenaline and the rush of that gobbler in the morning and just hearing that thing spitting and drumming at you when he's coming in, and to know that you actually called that bird in. So,
you know, I get that same thrill with predator hunting. We thermal hunt for predators in Georgia. I think we're at 45 coyotes for this year. In Georgia, which is
nice.
People's like, oh, that's not that many. And I'm like, well, you come here and hunt. If you can kill more. And
that's a lot.
There's guys that kill more than us. I mean, there's some great
I guarantee it.
predator hunters, but
that's impressive. You know, I trap. Mm-hmm. I do better trapping than I do predator hunting.
100%.
And 45, even in a trap, is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we've had an amazing year, and it's not over with yet. We're fixing to dial back up on it. It's fixing cooler weather's here, and it's time to start thumping them skulls. Put them bearing optics to work.
Man, take all of them down you can.
What you just said it, but what optics are you using as thermal vision?
We run the Bearing Optics Super Hogster. We run the Super Yoder. We run Phenom 384 scanners. We run some Taipan 19 scanners. All mostly 223. We run some 6.5 Grendel 22 250, 243. I mean, we run some great stuff. I mean, and if I could shoot better, it'd probably be 63. I mean, I've missed as many as I've killed. I'll be honest with you, but I like calling them in, and I can get the intrigue of calling an animal in. It's a lot of fun for sure.
Do y'all actually use calls, or do y'all use Fox Pro electric calls? What do y'all use?
We run electric calls. I will not mention the name of the electric calls that we use at this time.
Okay.
I'm kind of in a transition period. I will say that there's some exciting stuff coming out. We'll talk about it outdoors, and some predator calls in the next few months. But we have ran electronic calls. We use mouth calls too. We ran mouth calls, and Cody's been very, very instrumental in teaching me how to predator hunt early on. He got me into it. He was running mouth calls, and I've heard him blow that rabbit call till I wanted to knock it down his throat.
Yeah.
Brock Holston, my buddy up in Illinois,
Nature's Voice Game Calls has a phenomenal rabbit call, just so you know.
Y'all have any howlers?
Yeah, we do have howlers.
We do.
Hey, Michael, hit me up. I want a howler. I'm saying it right now on the show. I want whatever I got to do. Send me a link or whatever. I want to order a howler from you.
I got you. I'll hook you up, brother. You're talking about mouth calls. That's one thing that we've never got into is doing coyote calls. We've had some people ask us before because, like I said, we founded the business on mouth calls, but we have we've not done any predator calls. We do elk calls, and we do have a 2-reed turkey call that we use. It's called Little Sissy.
Yep.
And it's just, like I said, it's just a 2-reed call. You can get real high pitched with it. You can do keys with it really good. So it would be a perfect call to use as a rabbit squealer.
I want to learn how to, and I don't know how, but I want to learn how to howl with a mouth call. And so if you got something I can throw out some howls on, definitely holler at me. I'll put it to use in the arsenal. But we've got some exciting stuff coming for our predator side of things. I mean, we run you'll see our coyote logo. I mean,
I've seen that. I like it.
That's my passion right now. I love it. But hey, it's deer season. It's time to put the hammer down on the deer.
Yep, definitely.
You know the thing though, talking about predator hunting, any deer hunt turns into a predator hunt when you see one.
Yeah, Cody's done shot one this year, and if it comes by me, I'm gonna lay down. I'm gonna shoot at it. Like I said, I'm as bad to miss as anybody.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, yeah, it just comes to that, man. I mean, you get excited and stuff, but anyways.
More on that later.
Yeah. Well, we had Dave on here earlier talking about the scripture of the day, and he was talking about, therefore, as you receive Christ, Jesus, the Lord, so walk with him or walk in him. There's been many a times that I've been in the woods and just sitting there and just, being amazed by, just the things that God has created and being in God's country, I mean, it's just one of those things that brings a peace about you. That's one of the things, like we was just talking about turkey hunting and trout fishing. That's one of the things that I love about trout fishing so much is getting out there in the middle of that stream, not having a care in the world, and just being, it's so peaceful to me,
Yep.
The water rushing by you, the sounds, just looking at the different things. And I think a lot of people, like you was saying earlier, Alex, get all caught up into the big buck thing, and they forget about what you're really out there for,
I sit in the deer stand, and every time I go back to it, and a few years ago on an episode of Road Trips or one of Realtree's shows, David Blanton and Martin from Duck Commander and Kip Campbell from Red Arrow, they were all in camp, and Kip had kind of told a testimony in that, and during the opening of that show, they read the 2 Corinthians where he said, so we don't look at the troubles we can see now, rather we fix our gaze on things we cannot be seen. For the things we see now will soon be gone, but the things we cannot see will last forever. And I sincerely in mind remember that so often. I've got it written down on a little piece of paper in my bag. And there's so many times in the mornings that I sit back and I think that I've lived an amazing life, and God has surely blessed me. And that's the thing that I can go to sleep at night with that on my mind. And people that don't know him, I feel sad for him because it's an amazing feeling.
Sure.
Yeah. You got that right, brother. Definitely.
Yep. Talking about that, sitting in the stream and even sitting in a tree stand at this time of the year, man, you're looking at what he's created. It's all around you. The leaves are falling. The leaves are colorful. You got the beauty of everything. The sunlight's hitting them leaves. It's just, it's a picturesque painting. It's just like, wow, I live in this time. I live in this moment. It's something you're seeing.
Yeah.
And we take that for granted daily.
Yeah. That's what we mentioned that on a couple podcast episodes ago. I was talking about it seems like when you get older, it's either the sun rising or the sun setting. It means a lot more than it did 20 years ago.
Yeah. Greg Glessinger said it best. Outdoorsmen see more sunrises than any other human in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the truth. And people that aren't blessed with this lifestyle, they just don't understand it.
Yeah, man, I tell you, that's another thing that I love about my vacation in the summertime on the shores of Georgia. I'm shore fishing down there, surf fishing, watching the sunrise, Man, it's a beautiful sight.
Amen.
Sad thing is he ain't catching nothing.
Oh, I've caught plenty of fish down there on that Georgia coast.
I did get you hooked into the pier fishing though.
Yeah, you did. We actually did that this year. And I've never really pier fished, you know. I've always been a surf fisherman, so I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, Alex. Well, we're going to let you off here, bud. We've took up about an hour of your time.
Love it, man.
And,
Yeah, it's been an awesome pleasure.
yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. When I got in contact with you there, we was on the golf course, if you remember. I said I was trying to be quiet because my son was in a tournament, and I was like, I can't miss this call because we just got done talking the day before on Facebook, and
It's been an honor and a privilege. Like I said, I'm nobody special. I'm nothing in this world without my faith and my family and my friends, and you know, you guys extending this opportunity has been a privilege, and we'll be sure to support you guys over at Talk About It Outdoors any way we can, and make sure that we tune our followers over to you because they're a loyal bunch of jerks for sure.
well, that's good, man. We appreciate it. And like I said, when we talked there, I was like, there's no way we're going to be able to get this guy on our podcast. You know, we're just starting out, and they've had this thing going on for a while, and they've really got this thing down pat. So we're so appreciative of you coming on and taking the time.
Hey, like I said, it's been a privilege. It's been a privilege and honor. Like I said, shout out to my boys Nick and Cody and the rest of our team for continuing to stick by it, and everybody that supports us. It's an amazing thing to see. I will say this, and I'm gonna hush. There's going to be people that support you in every other aspect of your life, except for this podcast. They're not going to believe in you, and don't let that get you down. Keep the faith that you're doing what you want to do, and stick with it, and you'll be successful at it. The bad news of it all is the people that are closest to you that you think should support you will be the ones that support you the least. But I promise they'll come around eventually, and it's an amazing feeling to see them come back because they do believe in you. And so, thanks so much.
Thank you,
brother. We appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
We'll talk soon.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Ghost 802, a sports team based in Vermont. Their goal is to promote safe and ethical hunting and to raise the youth to share the same passion for the archery, hunting, and the outdoors as they did growing up. For more information, check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Let them know that you heard about them right here on the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls.